Hi, welcome back to part 2. I'm going to show you how I made the stand for my flip calendar that I created using coasters that I got. These coasters measure 4 by 4, and what you'll need to complete this is this is just regular poster board that you can get at the dollar store. And I like a little bit of a gap around, so I measured these 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and you'll need 2 of these. And then I have, for the bottom, it's going to be 4 1/4 by 1, and you'll also need 2 of these. To get started, since we're going to be wrapping the paper around, you're going to need 2 pieces of paper. I measured these 4 by 12. This will be the inside covering, and this one is 5 1/4 by 12. Now the 12 inches is probably a little bit too long, but what I like to do is I will put everything down and then trim it off at the end, so I make sure I have enough paper on there. So to get started, we're just going to take our 1 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and we're going to take, I'm using ATG, and you want to get this as close to the edge as you can. It's not a big deal if you don't get it right on there. We're going to run a bead of tape all the way around. Stuck there. And put one in the middle. And then what I'm going to do is position this on here about, I don't know, about 1/2 inch or so from the edges, and try to get that as straight as you can. You can use your grids on your mat if you need to line this up. That looks good. We'll put that down. Then we're going to take our next piece, which is 4 1/4 by 1, and we'll do the same thing. We're just going to run a bead of tape on here. And this is where you want to kind of be a little bit careful. You want to take and leave yourself enough room, but not too much room between these pieces, so we have a nice crease when we go to have this fold up. I use, I don't know, about 1/8 of an inch. I kind of eyeball it. I'm not too particular when it comes to my measurements. We have all our pieces down. I didn't put that down there too good, but you get the idea of that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut the corners, miter these. Now you don't want to get right up against your corner. You want to be a little bit away from that, because if you're too close, you are not going to have coverage on your corner and the white is going to show. So now what we're going to do is we'll run a bead of tape along an edge. And I like to work each edge on its own. And we're just going to crease this really good and fold this over. Okay. And I'm going to do the opposite end. You could just work around the piece if you want. I kind of like to have all my ends where they are, like do the other opposite ends from each other, just so it looks more uniform. And then we'll run a bead through here, and we will pull these corners over. And I'm trying to do this in a hurry, so just for showing you guys. And this paper is pretty thick. It's just kind of, it's the black packs of paper that you can get at Michael's. I think that's where I got this from. I don't think AC Moore carries it, but I know Michael's does. And it's in with all like the Recollections paper. And I don't think it's a real expensive kind of paper or anything like that. It's just, you know, your standard black. And they come in white too. 12 by 12 sheets. Okay, so, alright, so now that corner I didn't get real good. I must have gotten a little too close in the corner, but it'll work for what we're doing here. Okay, then the next thing I like to do is grab my bone folder. I like to just put a little bit of a crease right here before I put the other paper on, because then it's easier for me to fold these and crease later on. And you don't have to do the other side, but just get the one side really good there. Then what I do is you're going to take your 4x12 that you have left over, and I know this is too long, so I'm going to measure on here just to get an idea. You just want to cover your raw edges. And I am going to go to about right there and trim this down. Okay, now that's good and not straight, so you might want to do that on your paper trimmer. And then we're just going to run some tape along the edge, and this is where you really want to get good and close to the edge on here, because it'll lift off otherwise if you're not right on the edge of that paper. Okay. Okay. And you want to use a pretty good adhesive. ATG will work great on this. You don't have to use, anything super strong like your sticky tape or anything. And then just go ahead and lay this down. Trying to get your edges about as even as you can. And before you really stick it down, make sure you're straight. And if you cut your miters correctly, you won't have this white showing. Okay, and you would do a better job than this. I'm trying to hurry through this for everybody. Then what I do is I kind of find where my creases are. Oh yeah, and you want to put some tape in the middle too. I didn't do that, so you can see it's puckering a bit. You just find where your creases are, and we're going to fold. Give this just a little bit of a fold. And then I would go through with the bone folder, and if you want to, you can just run your bone folder through that crease. If not, you don't have to. And just do a mountain fold on here, and basically that is it. And it is done. You have your, and then you would add your coasters on here all decorated up, and that would be your, your stand. Now, what I did with this is I put it in my bind it all and put my binding holes in here. I basically just fold this in half, and since the bind it all it's roughly 4 inches across this opening, so all I did was put it in here and I kind of eyeball it and then punch my holes. You'll get that on there, and then what you do when you put your rings through, when you do a bind it all book, you're supposed to have the back of the book should be around to the front, so these aren't in the way. So all I did was when I went to bind it, I bound it where this was in the front, and then when you flip it around, they end up in the right spot. And that's basically it. Very easy, very simple, and it will fold flat for you to mail it.